Hi, I'm Victoria Bond, and welcome to Mum's Time to Shine. How to connect to your soul's purpose and pursue it without sacrificing quality time and connection with your family. Today, we have Megan Hill joining us. Hi, Megan. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Victoria. It's very good to be here. Thank you for harassing me to get me on.
I did, but we have to harass those people that are so busy creating amazing magic in the world that they're traveling to a different country every week. So we have to keep
very impressed by you. I'm like, wow, she's going to get me on her show. That's awesome.
And it happened.
Yeah.
Persistence.
Exactly.
So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who Megan is. So Megan is the creative force behind the marketing and communication strategies, working for Access Consciousness, traveling with Access Consciousness, as I have found out. You're a mama and you are a facilitator and a coach, and your favorite thing to do is to talk to people about possibilities in action, which I love.
Yes.
Because how many times do we think if we ask the universe to give us everything, it's just going to start raining down on us? But we kind of need to put that action in, don't we?
Yeah. Or you ask for it and you really think it's not going to show up, so then you sort of give up right as you're asking anyway. You know?
Yeah. So you and I have had a similar experience when we have had times when we felt very unhappy and quite depressed, and let's face it, we probably we're very fortunate in our lives. You know, we've been I don't know about you, but I've been brought up well. I've had great opportunities, but I always had this sinking kind of, like I was saying to you just before we went on live, I've always felt depressed my whole life, and this is the first time. I'm nearly 35 and I actually feel happy. Even if I'm not, I'm actually yay! And I found a lot of that came from the tools of Access. So can you tell us a little bit about you and your story, Megan?
Yeah, I truly was one of those people that had everything that you're supposed to have to be happy. You know, I'm good looking. I had a great job. I had boyfriends, plural, you know, as you do when you're young.
I love it.
I had absolutely no reason to be unhappy or depressed or anxious. And I think that was probably the most baffling thing for me, was I couldn't, you know, there wasn't any reason why, there wasn't anything I could fix. And so I went to a doctor and he told me that there's basically something wrong with your brain. And the way that your brain is talking to each other, you have less, I forget his scientific terms, but he was basically like, I'm really sorry, honey, but I think I was 25 or 26 at the time. I'm really sorry, honey, but you'll likely have to be on medication your whole life. So he started me out on several different medications to kind of see where I could find a happy place. If you've ever been put on an anti-anxiety or anti-depression medication, finding the pill that doesn't sort of knock you out and make you a zombie, or the, you know, one that is sort of a nice balance, is an interesting journey. So I think the Prozac was the one that finally worked for me. It was just enough to kind of take the edge off, which is what I required at the time. But I kept having to increase the dosage. So I would go back to him, and basically for 6 months, the medication would work. And then after that, the anxiety would come back, and that like weird feeling in the morning would come back. So he would up the dosage. And so finally one day I was filling a prescription, and he was giving me at the time like a prescription and a half or something of Prozac, meaning I was taking like one pill plus a half of another pill. Plus he was giving me, I can't remember the name of it now, but a sleeping pill to go to sleep at night. And then also Xanax to sort of knock me out if I had any sort of anxiety attack. The perfect combination of drugs to make sure I had total control over any sort of like irregular heartbeat, apparently. And so I took the prescription to go get filled at the drugstore, and the guy at the counter said, you know not to take all of this at once, don't you? And it was really cool because it was one of those little, I don't know, angels or something that comes along your way. And just him saying that made me look at what was going to happen in the future. So at 25, 26, I was like, if I have to take these pills every day just to be happy and to function and to go to work and to not, lose my mind or whatever was going on, that's a lot of taking of pills for the rest of my life. So I started looking at what else was possible. And for me, I tried lots of different things. I tried meditation. I tried like more natural supplements, 5-HTP and all these like natural type herbs that could help balance your brain and all sorts of stuff. And finally, one day I called this lady who was kind of like a spiritual intuitive. I used to call her to see if my boyfriends were going to be guys I was going to marry, or, see if there was any love in my future. She was one of those people that I would call. And I said, hey, I've got this stuff going on with my body where I just, I have this anxiety and depression and I don't have a reason for it. And she had just taken an Access Consciousness class. So she said, can I ask you a question? Could it be possible, because I was living in an apartment building at the time, could it be possible that you're actually picking up on the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of everyone else around you? And I was like, that's weird. And, yes. And she's like, this is going to sound even crazier. And she ran the Access Clearing Statement, and it sounds super crazy. And I was like, I don't know what that was, but whatever. And so she said, just keep asking, who does it belong to? And you may notice that it shifts. And so over a period of, I don't even know, probably several weeks, I started noticing that like my roommate, her mother had just died the year before. I was in an apartment complex with lots of different people around in a very like popular area of the city where people were partying and, getting drunk and doing all sorts of stuff. It was also, it was just weird. So just being aware of it, I started being like, oh, maybe the feeling that I have in the morning that the world is ending isn't actually mine. So one of the cool things in Access is that they tell you straight off is that you can't actually, if you're trying to change something and it's not changing, whether it's in your body or in your head or whatever, it's not yours, because you actually can't change something that's not yours. A lot of times it's something that you're aware of. Same thing with body pain. If you have like this chronic knee pain and you've done everything that you can think of to change it, you can ask different questions like, are you picking this up from somebody else's body, or is blah, 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 blah. And it sounds crazy. Trust me, I get it. And yet for me, this stuff works. So those questions plus getting my bars run changed everything drastically. I don't take medication anymore. I'm super grateful for it. I still have moments of like, holy fuck, what's going on? Or I feel depressed or something, but I quickly have the tools to get out of it.
And I think that's the biggest thing, having that toolbox. And that's what I've been saying. I've been doing a lot of Facebook Lives on my Facebook page, Halo Healing. Yeah. And I'm saying to these people, you can have a toolbox and you can pull out a tool, because we do have these things pop back up into our reality. We're here for lessons or reasons or whatever it may be. And then you have a feeling, like that sinking feeling again, and you think, oh, not that again. Oh no, I can't go back there. And then you go, hang on a minute, who does this belong to? It's mine. And I had a really interesting conversation with my husband, because he told me that when he was a little boy, because he's been watching me go through this process for the last couple of years, of course, and he's delighted for me. And he's changed, of course, because of my energy changing, and he gets his bars run and all that stuff. But he said when he was a little boy, he could feel everybody's like feelings, and to see someone that was less fortunate or in pain, he could feel it as if it was his own, and it was killing him. So he very quickly put these massive big walls up. And when I was going through my depression or whatever, my real hard time a couple of years ago, I would stand in front of him and say, you need to help me. Someone needs to help me. I'm drowning. I want to go jump off a cliff. Like I was saying, like, should I slit my wrist? I was saying this shit to him. I wouldn't have done it, but that's how I was feeling. I was trying to vocalize it. And he would just say, you're a broken record. Sort yourself out, and walk away. And now when I say that to him, he goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was so unconscious of what was going on. I've been unconscious most of my life because it was too painful, because I was aware of everybody else's feelings. And that's my husband. I was like, oh my gosh. And now if I look even a little bit sad like this, he goes, oh, sweetie, you're all right. And I'm like, who are you? Because for 18 years, he was like, what? What's your problem? You know?
Yeah.
So it's amazing when we start functioning from a different point of view or a different way. Like, yeah.
It can change so quickly. Yeah.
It's just like a switch. The same thing happened to me. So I started meditating because I had no choice, because my body was shutting down in the afternoons after I had my kids. And I would just lie there and meditate for hours and hours because I couldn't sleep, but my body was kind of paralyzed. It was really weird. And I started asking questions before I found the Access Consciousness tools. And that was like, what do I believe? What do I really believe that I haven't taken from somebody else? I didn't have one thing to write. Not one. I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And then when my friend invited me to a bars workshop, and I went, and I felt space in my mind. And I have people leave my workshops and they go, I feel weird. I don't know how I feel. I feel strange. I'm like, don't worry, you'll get used to it, because that's exactly how I felt. Like this, you don't, not having all this chatter, and you don't realize how beautiful and quiet it can be.
Yeah.
Being.
Yeah.
And like you said, it sounds crazy to everybody else, but the only reason why it sounds crazy is because I've been taught a completely different way.
Yes. And the beauty of it is, I think for a lot of people, when you finally get to a point where, you know, you've tried everything and you're just so freaking grateful when something works. And for me, Access works. And if it doesn't work for you, that's cool. Find something that does. Because no one should have to live, you know, a life of unhappiness or darkness, or, you know, if you're looking for something else, if you're trying to get out of that place where you wake up and you can't actually find, you know, some sort of space or peace or joy, know that something else is out there. And I think that's the biggest thing I see. You know, I work with Access, and I work with the marketing of it and really trying to get it out to as many people as possible. And it's because it changed my life. You know, I had someone asking me a question recently about how I started working with them. And I did marketing for other companies, and Access to me, I get so excited, because if everyone could have their bars run at least once, we could start seeing way more space in the world. If people just knew that it was possible. And it is, you know, we're in 174 different countries. I just was on a meeting where somebody said there's a bars facilitator now in North Korea. So someone's running bars in North Korea, which is awesome. So it's everywhere, and definitely check it out if you're interested.
So can you just tell us, like in English, what it is? Because there's been a lot of Access Consciousness talk and facilitators on this interview series, and a lot of people have probably already watched them and still going, I don't get it. So we know it's not a religion. Yeah. We know it's not a cult. What actually is it in English?
Well, it's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of tools to change any area of your life that's not working. And all of it's designed to empower you to know that you know. So it's not that I know and that I can like deliver my knowing upon you. It's I have lots of questions that I can ask to facilitate you in discovering what you knew. You know what I mean? Like if I had called that lady however many years ago and she would have said, I am the guru. I'm letting you know that you're picking up on everything around you. Like if she would have told me I was doing it, I would have never actually gotten to the place where that awareness was mine. So that's really the whole point, is it's designed to empower you to know that you actually know. And that can be in anything. That can be with money. That can be with your body. I mean, most of us are told our entire lives to look outside of what we know, that somebody else knows something more than we do. And it's not true. So that's essentially the entire scope of things. And it is so far reaching, and it's vast, and it's just this gigantic sea of possibilities. I mean, it's an entire universe of questions and choices and possibilities that you can explore. So
yeah, and what I love about it is coming from a point of no judgment. And
yeah.
so bars is 32 different points on the head that we touch, which helps to release any thoughts, beliefs, feelings, emotions, considerations, judgments, or whatever that we have on a particular subject, which is the like money, control, creativity.
The bars for me, it's like if you ever notice when you're running your computer or your laptop or whatever you have, and you have too many tabs open, even on your phone, if you have a smartphone and you have too many windows open and your battery starts draining really fast or it starts slowing down, that's sort of what it's like for me when you have your bars run. You've got so much stuff going and, firing off. Because the other thing about it is if you're somebody who is, who thinks a lot or is aware, is this like intuitive type person, you've got a lot going on, and that's okay. And no one's ever told you that that's okay.
Yeah.
You're actually one of those like really highly creative people. So the bars just allows a lot of that charge that can occur to dissipate. So throughout the entire day, you might be, if you're a mom, you've got things going on, your kid stresses you out, your husband or your baby daddy stresses you out, or there's like all this stuff that goes on, and then it just kind of builds up over time. All the stuff that you have about money, about sex, about aging, about all these things that are your entire life, you've taken on different things about from other people. You have different points of views about them. So what this does is it allows it all to just completely dissipate with ease and speed. And you just lay there and it's awesome. It's like taking a little power nap. That's pretty much, that's what it, and it's different for everyone, and every single time is different. There's times where I completely pass out. There's times where I'm wide awake and I've got so much still going. Everyone receives it differently. So there's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it, I guess, unless you're not putting the person running your bars isn't putting their hands in the correct spot. But there's just 32 points on your head that when touched, it changes things. And the cool thing is I did so many things before where it was like you couldn't drink coffee, or you couldn't have sugar, or you had to clear the space, or, you had to have like sacred geometry placed chairs, or, the person had to be clear energetically, and all this crap that made everything so significant. And I remember thinking to myself at one point, I was in some weird ass workshop, and I'm like, if shit actually hit the fan, like if there was war, or if something was actually going on, how the hell are we going to actually call in these light beings if we can't get the chairs in the right spot and we haven't, like the perfect food or something? Like, what is this actually pragmatic, And so when I found Access, like you can run bars at an airport, in a car, you can run them for 20 minutes or an hour. There's really not a lot of rules to it. So for me, it's so pragmatic that it works, and I love it. So I'm a huge fan. I cannot believe people don't get their bars run at this point.
Yeah, but it's because it's so not what we've been taught or conditioned to do. If this was how we were taught how to ask our children questions and to be more conscious, like more conscious parent, but we're not. So, I mean, we're evolving constantly, really, because you think about our parents and the parents before that, and then you think about, oh my gosh, how they treated their children. Like, we can't even comprehend that. Like, the amount of abuse when they thought they were loving. So it's nearly like we're growing more conscious all the time. And even people that aren't into Reiki or Access or asking questions or anything like that, they still have they seem to be a little bit more conscious than they were back in the day. That's an interesting point of view I have there, but that's how it kind of seems. So back to parenting. How do you're a mum of one. Do you have a boy or you're a little boy, don't you?
He's not a little boy anymore. He's 6 years old, 6.5, going on 15, I swear. His name's Tristan, and he's just so adorable.
He is. Was he in that video that you were the other day? Oh, and he was in the background, like doing little moves and stuff?
Yes, he's obsessed with this kid that's called the Backpack Kid, and he does this dance move called the floss or something. So he's He loves videos. He keeps asking when I'm going to set up his YouTube channel. So I need to do it soon, but he wants to be in every video. He tells me like, Mom, you've got to ask for more subscribers. And so he's my social media teacher.
He's so beautiful. So do you parent from just observing like other people that go to school with Tristan? It's Tristan, do you like notice a difference between your parenting style and other mums that
oh yeah
so
I'm very different. I would say I'm way more relaxed in some ways, you know, like where I live in Denver, Colorado. People are very uptight about what you feed your kids. So like, you know, they shouldn't have any sugar. They should have all natural foods. They shouldn't have, it's all about what they should have or shouldn't have. And, in a way, I think maybe just because it's their age, he just finished kindergarten and they treat them like little people, you know, like little, that they aren't actual beings. So I would say one thing that I do with Tristan is that he is a big being in a little body. And my job is purely to know that he has choice, to teach him that his choice creates, and then also to inspire him to, you know, be as great as he can be and not shut him down in any way. Now, that doesn't mean I'm totally out of control and I let him do whatever he wants by any means, but it's not dishonoring either of who he is. So.
Yeah. So do you do that by asking him questions of like what he wants to eat or what he wants to do? Yeah.
Yep. I ask him questions like the eating stuff, you know, it's such a big one for parents. It's so weird. You know, I'll ask him, what does your body want? And even if like, you know, he'll want ice cream or something in the morning, which is crazy. And rather than me just telling him, no, like that's not what you can have, I have allowed him to choose that so that he can see if that was really what his body wanted. So if I keep telling him, no, that's not what your body wanted, then he never gets to the awareness of what his body desires. So now he's 6 now. And in the beginning when we did this, he was like, of course my body wants ice cream and, you know, cookies and whatever else all day long. But now I think it was probably 6 months or something of him going a little out of control with sugar to now he's like, no, he likes regular cereal. And he knows that he'll say, no, I've had too much sugar today, or like not too much, but he knows what his body likes and doesn't like. And so he actually eats very well. I don't force him to eat either. So if he's not hungry, I don't force it upon him. I might say, hey, are you hungry? Is your body hungry? Just to remind him. But, you know, they're so busy that they just run around constantly. I don't make him do the 3 meals a day. So it's more, when does he want to eat? And sometimes he'll eat, you know, like the entire kitchen, and then he won't hardly eat anything the next day.
Yeah.
So I love the access stuff that it's like, what does your body actually require? And what if everything that you thought your body needed, like all the rules about what you should eat and when you should eat and what you should eat at a certain age, if that could start to change, what else would be possible? So,
yeah.
So that's one way with food. Same thing with, I just talk with him a lot about different things. Like we had a time where he really wanted friends and I was traveling a lot. My husband travels, like we just don't have that many social outings per se. And so he was wanting more friends. And I said, well, mommy and daddy will have to actually start making friends with the parents at your school so that we can, you know, have more people for you to hang out with on the weekends. So just talking with him about that and letting him know, like, okay, what is it you require and what can we be to help create that with you? Which is very different. It sounds bizarre. But again, it's a way that empowers him to know that he's creating his life and we're here to contribute to it.
And it's actually a respect thing. Like when you said that, I could see you sitting with your son as seeing him as a being who actually has control over his life and saying,
yeah.
Okay, so what is it that I can do to contribute to you? And he's like, well, I want more friends. You're like, okay. And then you started asking yourself questions. You go, well, would this work for you? And he's like, oh, yeah, Mum, because I want more friends. The thing that makes my control point just goes, and that happens quite often. I'm like, my control is my child, he's 3, and he's like the kind of kid that bounces off the wall. He sucks in everybody's energy. So if I'm stressed, if I'm happy, if I'm anything, he just sucks it in, and then he's like, pew, 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 pew. And I'm like, no, because he's got hammers and knives and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, it really makes my control go out. But I know, if I said to my kid, you can have ice cream or you can have an apple. What does your body require? And like you said, it took you a good 6 months, but that just makes my control just go completely out of whack. Like, it makes me feel like getting my bars run right now thinking about it. So how could we start that? How could we start? Because I know for my daughter, I've said, okay, darling, you can have another cookie. I want you to be aware of how your body's going to feel afterwards. And now she's like, Mum, I feel sick. And I go, sweetie, well, now you've known that if you have too much ice cream or cookies, because she's 5, that you get a tummy ache. So do you really want to have that? So I try to do it like that, but it's kind of like training ourselves to.
Yeah. And a 3-year-old is a little different than, like at 6, it's a 3-year-old. I would say you have to constantly sort of manipulate into choosing what it is you'd like them to eat. It's like, yes, of course you would like, ice cream or whatever, but what if you had this? It tastes so good, so you have to up your game a bit on inspiring them in a different way. The control thing, man, it's just, let's be honest, they push your buttons. I mean, they're here to push your freaking buttons. And so mine is, he's crazy. He never wants to sleep. He's got more energy than anything I've ever seen. And so again, I tell him like, hey, I know that you want to keep going and I'm exhausted. So what can we do? Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry if he wants to, the other day I took him somewhere to do something and we got home and he was still bored. And I'm like, I'm a boring person. I'm like, it's not you, it's me. But, like really being like, hey, that doesn't work. Being willing to say to your kid, that doesn't work. Doesn't work. You can't be like that right now. It doesn't work for mommy. It makes mommy upset, or it makes, when you choose that, it doesn't work for me. So it's also not about you cutting yourself off and like giving your entire life to your kids. It's this constant balance. And then also be willing to hire a babysitter and have them take them for a little bit. Be willing to do what works for you as a parent, because to think that you can do it all, yes, you can. And it's quite nice when you allow other people to help you out.
And also like hearing what, like for instance, I've got a couple of people and I'll be like, whoa, because I'm a real go person. I'm a real like achiever in the sense of I just keep going and going and going until I end up having a breakdown. It's happened a few times in my life. So I have a few people I trust to say, hey, I think you need to go and fill your cup up. Not my cup of wine, possibly my wine, but like go.
Wine definitely helps. Yes.
But go chill out. It's okay to have a day off, and it's okay to go give yourself a bath, and it's okay not to fold your washing. During the summer, it's been a massive learning curve for me because I've never used a computer in my life.
Yeah.
And I had this awareness because I follow the energy of wanting to reach mums that have been unhappy and been in a rut. Because let's face it, as soon as you become a mum, your whole entire world, especially if you're like me, you don't have a kid until you're like 30, your whole like professional career is just over there and it's like gone, and you're like this mum, and then you've got to create it a different way. So I created a salon from home and yada yada yada, but I never gave myself time to enjoy my baby. I was off doing courses at 3 months old and on no sleep.
But enjoying, the other thing is there's so many lies out there with parenting. I mean, I chose to stay home for the first year when he was born because I thought that would be the best thing to do. And, I'm the best person to be around him and blah. I had all these things that people were telling me about the way to be a mom. I hated it. I'm not like, I enjoyed it, I guess, looking back a little bit, but that's when I started looking for other things to do because I was so bored. So what if you're different as well? And what if you could acknowledge that as as a mom, you're going to create like it the way that it works for you. So the way I parent isn't necessarily the way that you would parent, and the way that I choose to be a mom isn't the way that you would choose to be a mom. And there's no right or wrong way. You've got to actually do what works for you. And it's okay to, and I remember someone saying, oh, just enjoy it while they're, just enjoy this time because it goes so fast. And he was like 8 months old and I was so tired. And I'm like, every day is longer than the last one. Like none of this seems like it's going that fast. But when I started adding more in, I got to enjoy him and I also got to enjoy me. And so I would suggest when people are saying out there, oh, why don't you just take things off? Like you're a mom, take a few things off your plate. Really look at if that's what's going to create more and more happiness for you. Because if you're a creator and that's what you love to do, then being just a mom isn't necessarily what's going to satisfy your palate.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is as well is what I've learned from the Access tools is about, I call it creative chaos, because chaos is, you can't really create anything without chaos, because the fact is to create something, you have to, things are going to move and be shaken up a little bit, and you have to do certain things to get to certain points, so to speak, in different circumstances. And I noticed that my most fun days and the days that I thrive, like today will be one of them because I've got so many things to do. And at the end of it, I had such a great day. Where if when I'm at home, I'm like, okay, I've been so busy, but how come I still haven't done my housework? I've achieved nothing and I've been so busy and I'm exhausted. So I think everyone functions at completely different rates. And I know personally for me that my kids love, my daughter now asks to go to her nanas or go to her aunties because she's choosing to be with other people, other beings that fill her up and make her feel great. So that makes me happy because I know that she's branching out her little kind of body going, hey, can I come and play with you? So it's thinking about it a different way.
And they do. They don't want to be around just you either. The other thing that's amazing is there's 24 hours in a day. Like I put my son into a home daycare. So he was going from about 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. And I'm like, wow, there's hardly any time in the day because he got up at, like 6 a.m. and they get home and he was up until, he hardly ever slept. So he'd be up till 10. That's still a lot of time to just be hanging out with them. So I totally get it. And again, but a lot of people make themselves really wrong for that.
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing that that's kind of coming to me while I'm talking to you is what's made me really realize is taking off. Oh my God, I've had so much pressure on my shoulders. My whole entire life, I've wanted to be perfect. I would only pick those perfect I heard Sarah Grandaniti say the other day about seashells, and I would only pick the perfect seashells. If they're broken, nah. I will get a diary. This is my latest diary to write in. It's TikTok. And I'm still going through the processes of, if I haven't written it perfectly, not to throw the diary away, because I'll just buy a new one because I want everything to look a certain way. And what I've actually learned is, this pressure from taking the judgment of me, off my parents, off society, off everything else, and just going, I don't care anymore. I don't give a flying F what anyone thinks about me because I'm going to show up as me because I've been hiding for most of my life. I can breathe. And I think that's kind of what released a lot of the depression as well, is to go, this isn't me. I can sense energy and I do all the stuff that seems to be weird and crazy, but it comes so naturally to me. So I'm just going to own it. And if people judge me, I'm just going to see that as a thank you. So,
the perfection trap is a killer for sure. I don't know anything about that. But yeah, the second that you can just not have to get it perfect and not have to get it right, and certainly not make yourself wrong if you don't get it as right as you wanted to get it, and let it all go, it's way easier. And it doesn't mean that you just like don't do anything and become a blob of nothing. It just means that you take the judgment out of it. So I ask myself, like, okay, if I wasn't judging this, what would I choose? Or if I wasn't trying to get this right, what else would be possible?
I love that. So finally, before we go, Megan, what is a piece of advice to mums that want to, because this is Mums Time to Shine, how to connect to your soul's purpose and pursue it without sacrificing quality time and connection. For a mum who is trying to, like myself, I was a bit stuck. I'm wanting to create more in my life. I'm wanting to create more happiness, but also abundance, because let's face it, you give up your job a lot of the time because you're mum, you're at home. Your husband still goes out if you have a husband. And we kind of get stuck and think this is it now. So if someone has that little inkling that they want to create more, what's your piece of advice for them?
I would if you have a journal or if you have your iPhone or something where you can write some notes, one thing I've noticed is that most of us, especially if you're those types of people that want to take care of everyone and you put yourself last, you've stopped looking at what it is you truly desire. And you're spending so much time like figuring out, what everybody else wants, that you are not looking at what it is you desire. So start looking at if you could create anything as your life in the next 5 to 10 years, what would it be? And start shopping for that. So meaning go out and see people like, okay, if there's a type of a house that you really like, or if there's if you're not sure what kind of job or type of creation or whatever you want to call it that you'd like to do, start looking at the things that make you happy, the things that light you up, and start asking for that. Because the thing out there is that people think that you can't have it all. And what if you can? What if having a kid doesn't mean you have to sacrifice something else? And what if having a husband doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your whole life? So start getting really clear every day about what it is that you'd like to create, and then make a list and start asking for that. One of the things that Access talks about is ask and you shall receive is a universal law. So all you have to do is ask. And what most of the time happens is that we don't ask because we've decided we can't, somebody else has told us we can't, or we actually haven't even taken the time to look at what it is we'd like to ask for. So make a list of all the things that you'd like to ask for and do that weekly and see what starts showing up. I have a podcast called the What Else Is Possible Show. And I had Julia Sotis on there, and she's a facilitator of Access. And she was saying that she used to just write down all these things in this journal about all these things that she wanted to create. And 7 years ago, everything that she wrote down, she looked at it recently, and everything she wrote down that she wanted to create has actualized, has shown up. So, and as if by magic too, like she just sort of, you write it down. It's not like a target board that you're looking at every day and judging yourself because it didn't show up. Just write it down, and every single week or whatever, choose a day and a time and just write it down, and then put it away and forget about it. And just ask for the universe to contribute to that showing up. And before you know it, it likely will, because you happen to be a phenomenal creator. That's why you're a super mom. And never think that because you're a mom, you can't have everything that you truly desire. Because your kids actually, like my kid, I can see he doesn't want me to be an unhappy stay-at-home mom. He's happy when I'm happy, and I'm showing him a different possibility. So he gets to know that he can choose anything as well.
And I've found the question of how can my children contribute to me?
Oh, that's a good one. Especially money. They can contribute money too. Just ask for them to contribute financially. Just ask.
Put them to work. Slave labor. No, just kidding.
Yeah, get out there and work. No, but I'll be like, hey, if you really want to do this, can you help me create some more money? And he'll be like, sure. And then before you know it, I have more money. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, well, I asked the question how my kids can contribute to me. And I've actually just clicked right now. And then I created Mums Time to Shine.
Nice.
Like, I just realized, so I was like, okay, then I was like, oh, these children, because sometimes I'm trying to get stuff done and my children are like on me. Some of these interviews, the kids come in.
Oh, yeah. But that's the beauty of it. I mean, letting them be in any area of your life. I mean, I have conference calls and interviews all the time, and he's in and out. And I love that he's included. He's totally included in my life.
Yeah. And so as soon as I opened up to that and went, okay, well, how can they be a contribution to me? And this, then all of a sudden, it took that pressure off the shoulders again. So
yeah,
I used to have massive knots and everything. So I would literally have the pressure of the world on my shoulders because I wanted to be amazing and perfect. And every time I failed, I would just go, you're so stupid. You're you're such an idiot. And
yes, keep saying that. That makes you so much lighter, right?
Yeah, but I was so heavy. I was like lead. But now I'm light and I can turn everything around in 10 seconds and say, you know what? What is so right about that I'm not getting, that I'm disappointed in and stuff like that. So thank you so much, Megan. Everybody.
Thanks for having me.
If you want to know, you're on YouTube as well, aren't you? You've got a couple of things on YouTube. And
I do. And I think I've done at least 3 shows on my podcast on parenting. I'll do a few more as well. So it's the whatelseispossibleshow.com. And I attempt to do weekly podcasts, and sometimes it doesn't happen, but there's lots of them out there that you can listen. And we keep it quite basic with the tools. And I talk to lots of different people about how the tools of Access have changed their life. So it's really cool to see how much change is out there for people.
And if you can just send me that link, and I'll have that on Megan's speakers page, because we're going to have a gorgeous speakers page with all your information, and you also do coaching and facilitating. So you guys, the facilitating is like a question style with the Access. So no one tells you what to do, who to be, or anything. It's
let's face it. I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably don't like being told what to do anyway.
I hate it.
I know, I certainly don't. When someone tells me what to do, I say, okay, no, thank you.
My husband told me one day never to cut my hair, right? I was 18 years old, so we've been together since I was 16.
Wow.
I shaved it off because I was a hairdresser. Had blonde and black and red, tiny, tiny, tiny fringe, and it was shaved, and he nearly cried. He still
oh my God.
Now. He always goes, please.
He'll probably never tell you what to do again.
He never tells me what to do, ever. He just supports me. Oh, that's funny. Great. Well, thank you so much. And thank you
so much for having me on.
I'm so glad that I chased you around the world and got
me too. Hey, chase me anytime. You're fun. I like it.
I will chase you. Thanks, Megan. You guys check out Megan's. Are you on Facebook, or do you have a website, Megan?
The What Else Is Possible is probably the best. You can also find me at accessconsciousness.com/Megan Hill. And then I'm on Facebook. It's /Access Megan. And I'm on Instagram. I'm all over the place. So come find me and we'll see what we can create together.
She might turn up in your country one day too.
Yes, hopefully.
Awesome. Well, Megan will send me all those links, and you guys can touch base with her, or if you want coaching or to know more about Access, she is the girl to contact. So
thank you
so much, and have a lovely afternoon, and I'll start my day here in New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.